is the scariest moment you've ever had in your life?
What is the what?
The scariest moment.
The scariest? Just one? Kelly, I gotta think about that. Well,
Was it when you asked your
One.
wife to marry you?
well, I got.
You never really asked
places
me.
that I,
Told me.
Nervous she'd
you know,
say
where
no.
I was
I was scared.
I was confronted with a gun and had to do what I had to do. But that wasn't where I wanted to go. Really, kind of most scariest part, I guess. Robert Boomiller and I were riding our motorcycles over in Death Valley. And Ubehebe Peak is a big mountain, and I don't know if anybody is familiar with Ubehebe Peak, but it's a 6-mile long dry lake, and they got rocks at the end of the lake that actually move. Big rocks. I mean, not little ones. You know, and you look at them and see, how could that move? But there's the trail of the rock moving. And then in the middle of the lake is a whole bunch of big rocks, and they're just in a pile. And the story was that the Indians used to hold fiestas or horse races or stuff like that, and they would sit in the rocks and eat their lunch and do things, and so that's what Robert Boomiller and I did. Well, we had lunch, and I looked out there and I thought, that's a donkey. I told Boomiller, I said, you go around that way and I'll go around this way, and we'll herd that donkey till he can't run no more, and then I'll get on and ride him. And so we had this donkey in the middle, and we were herding him, and I was getting a little bit too brave, and I was getting closer because the donkey, I could see his tongue was hanging way out, so I thought, he's about ready for me to get on. Well, the donkey decided he didn't like that, and he hung left on me. And me and motorcycle went over. I jumped up and headed for the donkey to try to catch on to him. I wasn't scared, but I was, you know, when you think about it, I could have broke my whatever out in the middle of Mojave Desert, and that's a long ways to get a little fix up. Well, the donkey decided to run faster than I could run. He still had go get him, so he took off, and I took off after him, and I didn't catch him, but he ran about 50 yards and then stopped. And when he looked back at me, it was exactly like he said, "You stupid guy, what are you trying to do?" And so he trotted off, and I never did get to ride him. But that was the first incident with a horse. It seems like me and horses had some real problems.
You should have told them about the time you were in Canada, the tree stand, and you thought they forgot you.
The what?
When you went to Canada to go hunt bear, and you were in the tree stand, and nobody came to get you.
Oh, well, yeah, that was one of the scariest, because that should have been the first one rather than I got 2 other cases with horses that I've done stupid things with.
Except
and,
for the alligator.
Canada, I went up there to shoot a bear, and I got a picture of this bear somewhere here that I shot with a bow and arrow. But before I shot him, that bear, daylight started to leave, and the guide was supposed to pick me up on an ATV, and we were, I mean, in Canada somewhere. And they said, don't get out of the tree stand because the wolves are bad up here. That's all I need is a wolf biting at my hind end as I go up the tree. And so I stayed in the tree, and it got dark, and it got darker, and I got scareder because I wanted a fire. So I said, the heck with that. So I came down, I grabbed the biggest bushes and the biggest thing, and I started the biggest bonfire. I was going to stand by the bonfire. Well, no wolves came. But at 12:30, then the guys came and got me on their ATV and says, well, we kind of got hung up, and so I thought I was going to stay all night up, and with nothing, except my bow and arrow. And they finally came and got me and hauled me home. And that was the scariest for a period of time because I didn't know what. And when it gets dark, and it's darker than inside of your pocket, well, you can't see nothing, and you don't know what bears will do. Bears are, well, Kelly, I got him a bear, but that was the Canada experience. The other horse experience, I used to ride over off of Mulholland Drive. And Mulholland Drive is a famous place where, before it grew up and got a lot of houses, and we used to go over there and ride our motorcycles and practice. And Ricky Nelson, I don't know if anybody knows who Ricky Nelson is, the singer.
Yep,
Yeah, they're too young.
these guys don't, but he was
Well,
a
he
movie
was
star and
a
a
very,
singer.
what song did he make famous?
I can't remember the song.
But he was a very top, in that time, along with Richie Valance and a few others, that were
Buddy
really,
Holly was probably part of that.
and I was riding around this track, and I'd gone around it about, I don't know how many times. And in one part of the track, there was a hill as high as this roof, and you go down, and then as soon as you get on top, you go over. Well, I went to the top, and I'm looking right there, and there's a horse standing broadside to me. And I clubbed that horse just like this, boom. Knocked the horse down, knocked me down, knocked my breath out. It wasn't scary because I was trying to grab my breath, and I don't know why I had to pick on horses.
You gotta try for another question.
All right.
What was do you mind sharing with us your favorite hunting story or experience? Hunting?
Experience?
Yeah, or
Boy, you're asking. I've got a lot of animals. I've been lucky in my life, very lucky. I've been able to practice a lot out of my backyard when I was here. And so the more you shoot, the better you get. And what was the
Probably with your son.
that was one good thing. Like Kelly, when I took him up, I took my son up, and I got him into an area where he got a bull. I think the excitingest one when I was sitting in a tree and I shot the bear with my bow and arrow. Because in my life I've always wanted a challenge, and so a rifle didn't become a challenge, so I picked up a bow, and then really, the best, there's so many different experiences that I've had that were, and will end it, just keep on, I'll drive you crazy. Greg Kay, Doug Holliday, and me went out east, and I shot a 660-pound pig
wow.
with my pistol. And that's what I wanted to do. And Greg Kay, those guys went out with 300 Winchester mags. And I went out with a pistol because I wanted to shoot something with a pistol. That was the first thing that I wanted to shoot, and I'll pass these around and let you...
Or just hold it up for a minute when you get it here so I can get it on camera.
Yeah, and I got Kelly's buffalo in here somewhere.
Buffalo.
Yeah,
Bison and shark.
Kelly and I shot a buffalo.
That's the hamburger.
Well, I didn't. Kelly did. There's a pig that I shot with that pistol.
Tyler, hold that.
Hold that up there, Tyler.
Holy cow.
Holy pig.
Holy pig. Yeah, there you go.
That is one big ol' ugly pig.
Well, seeing,
Did you get him first shot, or did he get mad and start chasing you?
well, no, see, you're supposed to tap him behind the ear.
Tap him?
Shoot him.
Well, being nice. We seen the pig, and I went and got behind a yucca. Way back out here, the guy had 58,000 acres of place to run on and hide, and they had pigs everywhere, and they had sheep, and they had, I don't know what all. There's another picture in here of, I'll show you Greg Kay here in a second. There's Greg Kay with his pig. Pass that around.
I've seen that one mounted in his room.
Oh, yeah?
Where's this? The land of large animals?
Those are Greg Kay's and Doug Holliday's weighed 800 pounds. And
So did he shot it with the pistol too?
yeah, he said, I ain't shooting it with my rifle. You had too much fun. Well, to answer your question, to get back to what you, this is the famous baseball player that I got a autograph of that don't mean nothing. Greg Kay watched me, and the pig came up a draw, and I was hiding behind a yucca, and I was all ready. Boy, I was gonna pop him, and he came up, maybe from here to Kelly, and then he looked over at me, and he started running back the other way, and I thought, golly dang, and I got to get him behind the ear, because they have a big steel plate almost that you can't get a bullet through very easy. And so he run down at the end and then stopped and then come up the other side. So I just run from that yucca over to this yucca, and I sat down behind that yucca, and he came up and he came right close to me, and I tapped him behind the ear. Boy, and down he went, and up he came. So I said, whoop, pow, and I hit him again. Well, he went down and
He stay down?
he stayed down, yeah. I'm shooting a 41 mag with a scope on it. And I don't know how those got mixed in there.
Did you mount that pig?
Yes.
Where is he?
Well, no, I didn't mount him. See, I got so many I gotta tell you about my black cowboy hat. Because that was, what did I do? Ah,
Whoa, is that him?
that's just the head.
Wow.
And what did you do with that head, dear?
Well, I had him boiled.
What did you do to your mother with that head?
Oh, well, and my mother's always said I've been a bad boy, and I've always loved to tease my mother. My mother's the best person to play jokes on, I think. She came, you know, she was 90, what was she, about 97 then?
About that.
Yeah. She came to stay with me,
You're holding it up on here.
and when she came in this way, I went down to my gun room, grabbed that pig up, and put him in the bed. Covered the covers back up.
You're me now.
Yeah.
And she went down there and pulled the covers back, and all she says is, "Ooh," like that, and started to get in the bed. You know, and I had to go get the pig head out of the bed.
She was
But I
willing to
got to
share
tell you
it.
more about this story here because it turned Hollywood real quick. And I'll show you the pictures of Greg. Greg, we looked way over there, glassed. We seen another pig. And so we got in the trucks and we drove over there. And with a come on.
Go ahead with the story, Al.
Did I leave somewhere?
Go with the story, honey.
Well, I want to show that big black bear that he shot.
All right, well let's move to another question here. We got
Okay,
to we
let
got to
me-
give you some variety here, Al.
Okay, Greg shot his bear, or a pig, but there's a 5-strand barbed wire. I'll make it real fast. There's a 5-strand barbed wire fence that was right there. Now I was supposed to be the backup with the rifle, and that bear got from here to you. And the guy told him, "Are you going to shoot?" And he said, "Yeah." Pow! He shot the pig. Pig went down and came through that 5-strand barbed wire fence like it wasn't even there. And then it was about time for me to heel and toe. I mean, I got to get out of there because that pig's on my side of the fence. And Greg started going boom, a boom, a boom, a boom, and like shooting this couch. And he finally killed it, and I'm over there looking at it. But see, now we got it all videoed. I got a video of it, and I didn't know if we'd have time to show the video because it really, Greg K will tell you, them suckers run off, left me standing there with that pig running around, and he's trying to get it. But end the story.
No one's gonna go.
Go ahead.
So Al, you've met a lot of famous people. What would you say is the most? Tell us one of the exciting times you met somebody famous and a little story about that.
Well, I give you 2 handsful of famous people that I used to.
Well, while you're talking it, I think I'm going to pass these around. This was our home teacher.
You told us about one time you met John Wayne.
He was
No, I
Burt
did not
Lancastle's best
meet
friend.
John
Thought
Wayne.
Really?
you met him shooting, or he shot at the place you shot at, or something like that. No, maybe not.
Oh, yeah. What did you say that he shot at somebody? You're going to tell that story about Hell's Angels?
I thought that,
Don't
like
tell all that stuff. 'Cause
no. Well,
I'll
just tell
shoot you if you don't like me.
just tell us an interesting story about someone famous you've met.
Okay, there's.
Steve McQueen.
Yeah, well, Steve McQueen, I was not really a buddy-buddy with him, but Steve McQueen, Lee Marvin, and Eli Wallach, or not Eli Wallach,
Keenan.
Keenan Wynn, we were sponsored out of the same motorcycle shop. And whatever happened in the shop, that was the place to go. Because when you got with those movie stars, you couldn't get close to Steve McQueen because all down the street the people would tell Steve McQueen there, and the girls would come over there and just crowd you out, and you didn't get to say nothing to them. But we used to go to a race called the Big Bear. And Lee Marvin and Keenan Wynn, I used to try to make sure I followed them in, because they had parties. And we used to have 2,000 motorcycles in a line, and when the smoke bomb went off, we all raced for that smoke bomb. And we'd head for Big Bear, California. You know, and none of us ever made that race because it was very few people would finish it, because in 150 miles, as fast as you can go, after a while your old body starts talking to you and telling you, hey. And I'd see guys with blisters, you know, all over their hands from trying to hang onto a bike for 150 miles over sand beds and everything, yuccas hitting your legs, and that was before we had knee guards and shins and all this other stuff.
Al, tell them about Charlie Manson. How you met Charlie Manson.
Well,
Do you know who Charlie Manson is?
The killer.
He is a killer.
He is.
He's still in jail, and that was that in the
do you know who
60s?
Charlie Manson is?
Charles
Okay.
Manson.
Charlie
He's got the swastika
was the bad
on
boy.
his forehead.
And he killed about 5 people in Beverly Hills before then I never did see him again. But he used to come to the dune buggy shop where I was building dune buggies for him. I was the welder. Because, okay, Thea, which was the leading lady that I knew, called me, said, would you like to make a movie? And I said, yeah. Well, one time I did, you know, well, you haven't made a movie, well, you know, just as well do something different. So I went up and the name of the movie was Silver City, Utah. And in those days, well, that was, oh good gravy, that's before I met you, wasn't it? In the early 60s. And this was such a Mickey Mouse company that was making this movie. Wasn't even a B movie. I mean, it was, you know, no big actor, you know, and here I'm in it, you know. But anyway, we were supposed to rob the Silver City Bank. And we had a bonfire sitting off the side, and they had bleachers with all the people in them, and I was sitting on a horse, and when they said take, because they couldn't take because the airplanes was coming over, and they'd make airplane noise in the sound, so you couldn't hear an airplane in a western, you know, hey, what's it? But anyway, they finally said take. There's no airplanes around. So my 2 buddies in front, they pushed their horses and off they went towards the campfire where we were supposed to meet and tell them what we were going to do, the plans and everything. And boy, I kicked my horse and he just stood there. And I said, boy, I kicked him again. Still didn't move. So, doggone it, and I'm really late now. So I kicked him again, and then the horse bolted. And my hat came off and went down just like that. And when it went down like that, I didn't know But the horse had dropped some road apples. And I looked at my hat, and I said, oh man. So what do? I gotta be tough. I'm a bad guy. So I just reached down with the horn of the saddle, picked my hat up. It had road apples all over it. So I just went and put it on, and everybody in the whole audience went, ooh. You know, well,
And now pass the hat around for everybody to see it.
that was me and horses. Well, my dad used to train racehorses for famous Roy Rogers, Gene Autry,
Barbara Stanwyck.
Barbara Stanswick, Jack Oakey, and I got a picture of me on Trigger. Real Trigger, not the stuffed one. I was a little boy. It was 1940. Good Lord, 1940 something. But that was my deal with horses.
We went, and San Francisco's a metropolitan town, but there was no one on the streets. Not one. And if you were walking down the street, we'd be in a little coffee shop with a big bay window, and the police would pick the people up. There was no one on the streets in San Francisco. They were checking every single person out.
Yeah, we were wrong place at the wrong time. But okay.
Al, tell us about a spiritual event in your life. It could be your baptism. It could be your conversion. It could be anything. What comes to mind?
Well, I had my dear mother has made some very she's kept track of all my ordinations from the time I was blessed, and I got to show you these because they're kind of important to me, because I didn't think my mother would do such a thing and keep them and be around. There is my blessing. See the date?
What's the year, boys?
I didn't think the church was around in 17.
Long time ago.
March 29th, 1936.
1936. So you mathematicians, how old does that make Al?
That would be
Older than dirt.
75?
Yeah, right on the money. Now, here's the most kind of spiritual, well, not kind of. I asked my mother, I said, where did I get baptized at? Because I didn't remember my baptism. Of course, I'm losing my brain anyway. But my mother says, well, in the 11th ward. And I said, no, Mom, my mind is coming back to something, and I sat somewhere, and then I was called up. Now, these two are temple recommends. And this is Alan Byron Smith, March 27th, 1944. Temple recommend to be baptized. First baptism
In the temple?
in the temple.
Logan Temple.
And you don't remember that?
I didn't remember it.
Wow.
No, I remember sitting in a little, that's all I remember is sitting in a little square where the water was at, waiting to be baptized.
Huh.
That's why I asked my mom, I says, I don't remember, usually you remember the guy and everything else. And see, this was my mother's, to go to the temple. And she saved my deacons. That has to be the most spiritual, you know, as I look back at it, what it could have been. And I just pass these around. These are something that my dear mother took care of it for me, and boy, we're blessed for our mothers.
All right, Al, tell us how you met Nancy, and how you convinced her to marry you.
Well, I was between girls.
It was between.
Let's get, you know, and my barber, he told me, he says, I got a girl for you. And I said, oh, yeah? Blind date? She must be uglier than sin, you know. So I went to dinner at our friend's house, and my barber, Gib and Glenda Munn. And first thing off, she has a cigarette in her mouth. So when I said that, I don't kiss girls that smoke. Period. You know, and then she picked up a glass of wine. And I, okay, well, this will be short night tonight. So I said good night to her, and she went her way and I went mine. And I didn't see her again for a couple of months, because I'd call her and then she'd say, well, I'm busy right now. I'd call her next week. I'm busy. I'd call her the next, the month of March is what it is. And I didn't know that her family goes nuts about birthdays, and they have to celebrate birthdays. Well, she never did tell me it was a birthday. I thought, well, that broad is putting me off. Me? So I went to her house, knocked on the door. Her dad comes to the door, and I said, is Nancy here? And she says, no, she's not here. She's supposed to have a date with me at 7 o'clock. I didn't tell him that. Well, I went in and sat in my car for a minute, and I thought, what is going on here? So I went over to the bowling alley and stayed over there for a while, and then came back, knocked on the door again, and no, she isn't here. I said, well, I'm gone. This is ridiculous. Well, she drives up, and she looks at me and she says, I got a date with you, don't I, tonight? I said, yeah, boy. I'm going to hairlift you. So then we went to this club, and they had girls swinging on swings in the air, and it was just a regular dinner place, but they had two girls swinging on a thing. And I said, well, that's about, I wondered what was happening. Well, I don't know when. I used to play a lot of softball fast pitch, professional. Softball in the church was big. They had some softball players that were just awesome. And I played softball 3 times a week. And when I graduated from school, I weighed 127 pounds. I was so little I couldn't even, the wind would blow me around. And I went to Vic Tanny's to get some, weight on. Well, getting back to her, I called her again, and we went out again, and her mother had separated from her father, and so I went over to pick her up, and her mother, I know her mother, says, I like that little boy, and he's a Mormon. You marry him. So, I got to dating her more and more, and I baptized her, but I said her name wrong. How many times? I was baptizing Shirley and Patsy and I don't know who I was baptizing. But I didn't think I was going to marry her, really. And after she joined the church, then her mother joined the church, and all you guys, now listen to this. Watch out for these girls. They're smarter than you, and they know how to play dirty tricks to goof your mind up. And there's one right there. She called me, I called her one night, and she says, oh, I think we had a date or something. And I said, what are you doing? And she says, oh, honey, just put the groceries over there. This is when she was living in an apartment. I said, honey, who? She hung up. Oh. I got in my car, and in 9 minutes I made it from Van Nuys to Burbank, and that's all she did was make it all up. She didn't have a guy over there. She played dirty tricks on her. And that ain't all. That subject could go a long ways. But we finally got married by the bishop, and then a year later, no, not a year later,
66 we got sealed.
Floyd Weston. Does anybody know who Floyd Weston? 17 Principles of the True Church. Has him on a little card. Was passing them out. I had him going all over the church. He was a fireman, and him and 2 or 3 other guys visited every church to see who was the right church after they got out of the Army in 45. Well, they finally ended up going to the Mormon church and being baptized and joining them. And Brother Weston, he's known all over the church. He gives talks all over. I don't know what he's doing now. He's a little bit older than me. He might be croaked by now. So.
And did he marry you and Nancy?
No, the
Bishop Morrison, I think his name is.
yeah, Bishop Morrison.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that was Bishop
We
Morrison.
were married in the chapel first because I hadn't been a member.
And you know what? I used to teach our stake president, his wife, in Sunday school.
Woodbury. You're talking
Sure.
about
Woodbury.
Kathy Woodbury.
Kathy.
Yeah, they had me teaching junior Sunday school. They said, hey, you need to learn the principles. And I was teaching junior Sunday school for years. They wouldn't let me out. So, and I wanted to go to Veracruz because Gary Cooper was a famous Western dude, and I was into quick draw and stuff like that. And I wanted to go to Veracruz to see what Veracruz was really like. Well, we're driving, I got a guide. We went to lunch and we got back in the Jeep and we was heading down this long straight line. And I looked up there and what are them Mexicans do? There was 5 of them. Started walking out towards the middle of the street. And I thought, what's the matter with them? And I was driving. So back into second, and when I shifted gears, my dumb, Nancy says I gotta be politically correct and not call people bad names. That dumb Mexican
He was asleep. And he
woke up, and that's all he said. Bandito, bandito.
Wanderlei.
And boy, I had a second gear and I floored it, and I knew I killed 5 Mexicans because they were that close and on the middle of the road, and they all got out of the way. But when they went by, they grabbed her shirt, her dress, and tore it.
Cause we had no doors on the Jeep.
You know, and we were heading for Veracruz. Now I was scared because I thought, am I going to be a taco tonight, or am I going to? They're going to take all my intros out and ship them off to the hospital and use them because I was still young then. You know, and so
So what made you decide not to hunt bears anymore?
because they're too much like a family. When I was up in Canada, I seen 42 bears in 6 days. And when bears would come in with their little cubs, they would play so cute, you know. And I wanted to shoot. You can only shoot a big boar, and my heart went out to bears. I said, I'm not going to shoot anymore. So I took him up to get one. Took Steve Shaw. He didn't get one. He shot at him. He didn't get him. But no, it just.
That sounds like Steve.
These guys are very antique. Who can guess what they are? What else?
Pearl of Great Price?
Pardon?
Pearl of Great Price?
No, it's. If I can get them open, I gotta put them in a proper bag because President Johnson, the U.S. President of America, in 1943. No, he wasn't the president. Yeah, 43. Truman died in 43. It was in that time. He dedicated books to the church, and these are all rare, buddies. So be very, very careful. And my uncle. There's some of the Purple Heart. He was wounded twice at Battle of the Bulge. And when he died and passed away, I grabbed these right away, and because I had to go down and clean his house up. He didn't have no boys, no sons, no children. And so it's all. One of them's got blood on it still somewhere where he carried them. But very carefully.
Now, what are those books? One's a Book of Mormon?
Book of Mormon and the Bible.
Ah.
And he had him on him when he was shot.
When your
My
uncle was shot, he had it on him.
He was shot in the chest right here. It's lucky that he lived.
Wow. So Al, tell me about one of the individuals in your life that was very influential in helping you in your life, or somebody you looked up to, or somebody who had a great influence on your life.
I've been a lucky boy, to go through the younger generation things, but when I was in the Army, Elder S. Binion came to our little branch, and we were, we only had 19 members at the time. And when he walked through the door, you just knew that he was a special dude. And he touched me so much because then going along with that, my cousin Boyd Smith, anybody goes to the Celestial Kingdom, he's going to be there first. He was on his mission came in to the mission branch that Sunday, and they were releasing me from a whole bunch of, you know, whatever they had me doing in a branch. And from then on, my example was to take my friends and my family to meet my side of the family. And Boyd Smith was just really a good guy. The principles, you know, and I just loved him more, you know. Of course, I can't leave my dad out. You know, we're not going there, but I have a lot of experiences with my beloved dad. But those two really made me start to think, when you're growing up, you're kind of stupid. And I want to tell these young boys, don't do what I did. I was in love with this girl named Donna. You remember Richie Valens singing, "Oh Donna, oh Donna"? Well, my girlfriend was Donna, and
The bishop asked you.
yeah, the bishop came to me and he said, "Al, why don't you go on a mission?" And I said, "No." I said, "You know, I'm in love." And when you're 17, 18, 19, and 20, you're dumber than a rock. You really don't understand all that's going on. And I told the bishop, "No, I'm going to get married." I didn't marry Donna.
You didn't marry anybody for quite a few years.
Well, no, I didn't marry nobody because you know, I dated all the Mormon girls, and they, you know, I ended up with a non-Mormon and had to baptize her. But
So you regret not going on a mission? Is that what where you're leading to?
that's exactly what I'm saying. Please think about it, guys. Hard and heavy. It's going to make the biggest change in your life that you'll ever experience. I have a grandson now that is down in Lima, Peru, and he's just, I just feel so good about him on his mission. It seems like, see, I had, well, you know Shannon Gordon. You know Shannon Gordon, the other ward?
Oh yeah, I do, Shannon.
Okay, I baptized him, and then he came and he went out the same day. He gave his farewell the same Sunday as my son. They went to be the mission home the same day, and of course they couldn't come back together because Shannon went to Colombia and my son went to Chile. But we were talking to Shannon the other night about what you can impress people later on in life as a missionary, and what you don't know what you're going to change, you know. And so, maybe missionary, I didn't think it was for my daughter, and my daughter went on a mission too. And I know for a fact that she would not be the same girl, even though she's my daughter, if she hadn't gone on a mission. That's dynamite. You can't put anything to that experience in itself, and I miss that because sometimes I think, but I've been lucky to baptize people since then. So
Wants to be here. He's had cancer twice. He's had open heart surgery. He's had hip replacements. He's had a code blue. I don't know if you know what a code blue is. That means you're flatline. You know what flatline is?
Mm-hmm. Dead.
And President Hilliard gave him a blessing, said, "You're not going anywhere. We all need you." And he's here today at 75. And the Lord's not ready for him, and I don't want to lose him.